All right, greetings everybody. Welcome to part 2 of the Trials of Mana unit lookovers, reviews, whatever, performance evaluations. We're trying to do everything all in one video this time. And as with every collaboration, a question arises: who is the best unit overall from the collaboration? With recent collaborations, it was Sephiroth and Cypher, two characters that were very, very good and still are very, very good. Sephiroth is still plenty of places many months later, and as for Cypher, I think he's handling himself quite well, all things considered, with how, competitive things are. And here comes another dark character and a dark elemental 1 undercost mage, Angela, with a unique and interesting aspect to her, that when other characters die, you get stronger. So that it bodes potentially really interesting for how it works with re-raise and everything like that. And whether or not you can wrestle away the title of the strongest character from Shrekken. Now, personally, I don't expect her to be better than Shrekken or Shreka as she is on Global, but we'll find out soon enough. So, Dark Elemental 100 cost mage in very skimpy outfit. Hard not to notice. This mage character has a lot to potentially try to convince people to actually, just pull for her. However, I will state for the record, because I think this is the first time that a collaboration character has an actual just purchase her sort of deal. I know that story characters recently have been getting these deals of essentially just getting them, but now limited time characters also seem to be getting these. So that's noteworthy of, well, just very, very noteworthy, I think. So again, we're going to be jumping into the Trials of Mana event, first stage, where we have that sorcerer. Actually, I think we're going to do the second stage today, because if you watched the previous video, it got a little confusing. Extra characters on there, and I think there might still be in this map. Don't remember too terribly well. It's fine. So let's head over to Dark and pull up Angela. So for comparison's sake, I know this is a little unfair, but here's Vivi. This is what Vivi essentially looks like in a relatively fairly modern magic-based dark party, and I think that overall Vivi looks pretty good. Of course, has EMR runes and everything like that. But now let's take a look at Angela. 12k HP, 1800 magic is pretty nice. 28 defense, 13 spirits, nothing to sneak at either. 116 speed out of all of the characters in this group. 105 for Vivi, Angela 106. And I guess probably the more recent character, 120, is Neil, just for comparison. But Angela doesn't have the Hermes sandals on, so I think this is a good representation of her speed. 78 single target resistance and 5 AoE should stay pretty well at the type of damage that she wants to go up against, versus the type of damage she really doesn't. As for defensive capabilities, doesn't have any curse or frostbite resistance, which is something that we're kind of just looking for every time now. But curiously, really good slashing and magic resistance, which is very nice for whatever the current meta seems to just constant. Need a drink. All right. Taking a look, magic attack based rod, which is good because she is essentially an offensive character. The bonuses are only for her, so if you were kind of hoping that this would be good for other characters, no. No. But also taking a look in here, weakness resistance, magic attack, human killer, and wider the range of attack, the greater the physical damage reduction. Interesting. Again, much like Duran, quite a bit on these weapons to push these characters to being pretty interesting. I mean, you can't debuff her as well. She's just pretty offensive from this weapon alone. And then we have just something that's actually protecting her against physical damage, which is nice, to say the least. All right, single target resistance. Of course, we do have to note that this is a source for it. But Trust Mastery. You can see critical evasion's quite high on its, spirit and defense is there, and HP is there. The ability itself is ability activation time down by 4 turns, which all in all, like, you look at some of the best mages and ability time isn't really a factor, but you think about some mages that come out that would really love this. This could be a nice Trust Mastery that pops up in a bunch of places just so you can have that, and you do get a little CT refund. Interesting, to say the least. All right, next up, I guess we'll start going just through all of her abilities. Very long range on her Limit Burst. Her Limit Burst looks quite powerful. It destroys barriers that reduce magical damage, so it's very no worries about being a damage dealer here. 3 consecutive damages extra charge to the target, greatly reduces AP and has a chance of slowing down the target for turns. I think the Trust Mastery is really good just on the offensive ability alone, but greatly reducing AP is a nice bonus. The only thing, it is just 1 unit that it is targeting. Some of the abilities that we've seen for Limit Burst, Beast Legend 2, but maybe it was just too strong on character. All right, looking at her counter ability, since this is the job, tends to greatly reduce damage taken from magical attacks. So a nice counter ability that is not range dependent, is not dependent on the type of attack except for magical attacks. Given that it has some other ways of reducing physical damage, and nice that she can also cover magical damage, and might be important for her actual viability in just where currently JP. Now here, magic power increase and magic attack resistance penetration rate up, ability activation time reduction down, and hate down. This you're always going to be running. There's so much greatness here towards what she wants to do, but that hate down is just really valuable for a character that is looking to survive to the end of the match and be kind of your finishing unit. As for this ability, quite a bunch of stuff here. Increased speed, reduce damage taken the wider the attack range, covers a certain percent of HP when an ally other than yourself is incapacitated, and increase magic damage for turns. Excuse me. And reduce damage taken as well. So this was the thing that makes Angela quite special. It's undispellable because it is on a support skill, but no other unit in the game has this kind of ability. These are always noteworthy because when they come out, they either are completely broken or they are absolutely working. And as people have stated, it is kind of interesting how this can interact with re-raise, since technically a unit does die under re-raise and then comes back. So you could potentially get multiple activations to which there isn't really like any kind of limitation. What means basically is like, yes, it's not going to stack the buff, but it could keep the buff potentially active for more than enough turns to win the fight. Cool. Looking at her sub part of her job, of course she does have, I believe it is like the Grimoire Master and one other, let me just check. Grimoire Master and Rune Knight, which might offer some stuff that is generally good since we don't have access to that quite yet. Here we have deals 3 consecutive magic damages, so she does have chaining potential. And we have an AoE, which is chance of silencing a target within range to prevent them from dealing magic damage for 3 turns. Additional effect that magic attack resistance is reduced when silent. So interesting ability. Silence could be one of the best things that we could possibly see in our kit. Like, looking, usually a sub job abilities are pretty forgettable, but these both have really good range on them. And this ability is just kind of crazy for against other mages right now. Shreka is really good against curse and everything, but some mages just have these glaringly big blind spots against violence, and that can be just something that takes them entirely out of them. So, I mean, just let me take a look right here. I believe, yeah, Shreka does have 50% silence resistance, but with a high enough chance, could be a tide turner, providing that it's not 0. All right, so good sub job. Now let's take a look at the main part of her. So we do know some of these abilities from earlier on, but we'll take a look at them anyway. So deal small damage to target, guaranteed hit, and reduces dodge rate for 3 turns. So incredibly anti-evasion, which honestly at this point I quite like, because evasion I'm just over. Makes you less likely to be targeted by enemies, increase range attack resistance for turns, increases penetration rate, and gradually recovers HP with a regen effect, which is cool. I mean, I wish it could kind of work with the shield so she could have like HP restore off of that. But I mean, hate down here is crazy good for what her kit is effectively doing. Range resistance is nice. Just, you know, her a resistance against the damage attacks, mental penetration rate, and recovery in HP. I think winning combination. Next up, we have a big AoE ability here. This one removes guts effects from targets, significantly reduces activation rate for counters, inflicts large damage, and grants physical damage reduction for itself. A lot of stuff here. Very, very nice little ability that gets buffed here. Another really long one. Thankfully, it doesn't have a scroll, so I can potentially all in one. Grants the effect of reducing magic damage taken to allies within center around self for 4. Grants Human Killer. Creates a barrier that reduces magic damage for the user for 4 turns. Grants an effect of increasing resistance penetration rate for AoE attacks before attacking, and grants the effect of removing the target's HP absorption effect when an attack hits. So a lot of different abilities here that are quite nice. Puts her incredibly good against other mage-based characters. Human Killer to make sure that you are killing them off. Barrier that is doing, you know, taking down magic damage as well as reducing magic damage taken in combination. Very powerful against mages. Increasing AoE resistance, penetration rate, and just removing HP absorption effects, which is something that a lot of units run on right now, is more than valuable to be totally recommendable. Here, next ability, this one, wider the AO attack range, the more damage is reduced, the effect is removed, and it's non-elemental damage, so you don't have to worry about elemental resistance. That'll make this ability almost always generally strong. And her last ability, Job Level 25, reduces targets haste, shell, and magic damage after the removes a little bit of a mistranslation. Removes the effect of haste, shell, magic damage. Deals large damage based on her magic power and his chance of gradually reducing HP for 3 turns with poison. I have to say, Angela's kit seems pretty stacked and potentially poised to be very, very good in the current meta. But if we take a look at a character like Gilgamesh, for example, who's one of the leading type mage characters out there, 111 speed, 11k, and 600 magic attack power. Even without reincarnations being factored in, Angela is very, very close to the same on the mark, and a really high amount of single attack resistance. So let's go in and test her out, because we have talked enough. And oh my goodness, double your pleasure, double your fun. We have double Angelas here on the run. So first off, here is our 10k. And before we get into it, let's just try and hit some of our other characters and see what we got. So taking a look at Mont, 100% chance of slow, 28% chance against Sephiroth, who does have resistance, I believe. But, I mean, it is quite telling that she has a pretty high chance of activating a status effect on her limit burst if there's just, you know, no resistance whatsoever. So really good. Damage isn't quite as high as you might think, but it's okay. We haven't done everything. Taking a look at AoEs, focusing around, I don't know, Doom, for example, or Gilgamesh. Pretty high amount of damage. Testing out others. Poison ability here. Again, representing pretty good damage overall. 83% chance of poison, 0% on Ashen Wand, for example. Alright, not bad for initial DPS. Chipek. Let's move her over here. And we'll start using some of our buffs. So I think we'll fire off this one first, get that regen, see what the regen effect is on her. Next, we'll just throw Ashen Mont. %39% chance of silence off Ashen Mont. This is one of the abilities that might be nasty to her and quite interesting. See how resistant she is to it herself. 39%. That's a bit scary a third of the time. Could be shut down. In terms of single target attacks, lots of resistance here protecting her, so good. Start buffing some of our characters. As we effectively want to test all of this, if and at all possible. We have that nice little HP barrier there. Mana characters are going to go do their best. Alright, about 1000 HP, quite nice. Testing out that limit burst again. Once we have some of these, wow, that's an interesting amount of damage reduction that we've got because of abilities and whatnot, but it's okay. Still have some things to test. Just running some abilities, be pretty decent there, but big challenge will be AoE, so let's fire off Sephiroth's limit burst on her. See what we got. 100% chance of curse, pretty much what you would expect for no essential curse resistance here. And about 5000 HP, which again, if we take a look at what her stats essentially are. So let's take a look. Hate is at -11. That's really good. That's one of the reasons why we're not too terribly worried about how much damage is being dealt, while single target attacks that use multiple targets would have a higher chance of just picking her. There's still 3 targets active, there's less of a chance. But, you know, offensively, we don't have a ton of vision cards pushing her magic stats super high. But we can see all the different things that are active. Her magic damage reduction barrier is a 4-time barrier. It is her turn barrier is not a certain HP. But yeah, that seems okay. Let's end that. And Gilgamesh here, who is our resident magic damage dealer, and as we basically, I think at this point have all experienced, his limit burst is quite strong. Here we can see it is not doing much of anything, and it is an AoE ability as opposed to a single target ability, so it's not even really doing that much yet. Taking a look at most of his single and AoE attack resistances, she's quite protected very well against a very strong Age character. Good. And just to double check that, throwing a secondary mage character's abilities at her, looking to deal even less older. I think the last thing to check here is to see how her DPS holds up now that we've done all the buffings and everything. So limit burst, this is a little bit concerning to me, seeing that her limit burst DPS has dropped once everybody has run their buffs. Now, her limit burst, of course, does destroy magic barriers. It isn't really helping her single target or AoE resistance penetration. Let's fire off an AoE, which might be overall better example. Here, Sephiroth up to 60 and 25. About 3,000, 4,000 points of damage, again with a more physical-based party. But potentially even a little bit stronger once you remove the elemental factor and put in a non-element attack. Alright. So yeah, I'd say that it's pretty interesting to see how Angela has turned out. There's a lot of stuff in her kit that I personally am quite interested in. One of the things that we haven't even tested yet is, having another unit die on. So that, now that we've just gotten a few more enemies off the map. Nope, never mind. I clicked the wrong button. There we go. So now let's try and kill just a friendly unit. So who would like to die? I think it's going to be Ashen Maw, fortunately. Maybe not the best ability. We're not trying to kill everyone in the block there, Gilgamesh. What the heck. Boy, it's hard to kill modern units. Help, I'm having trouble targeting. I've kind of clustered my units just too much together. Probably should have moved apart. But, trying out some attacks here. This one has actual casting time. Let's see how long it takes. Now she gets her buff active. She recovers 4,000 HP, which is pretty nice. And unfortunately, I think we are just going to run out of time just a little bit. Too bad. That's unfortunate. Curse you, Angela. Curse you, Angela. But interesting to see that we did see the ability activate, and well, just gonna have to wait a little bit longer to find out the exact percentages and numbers. But a 4,000 HP heal off of it is certainly nothing for a character with, only about 11k. So to sum up, I think that Angela is one of the more interesting characters that I've seen this year. I really like just the kit designed around staying under the radar getting more powerful. She has a lot of stuff in her kit that you would expect for a DPS, such as breaking magic barriers, helping with AoE resistance penetration, not to mention status effects that are quite nasty, poison and slow and silence, which are all good. Quite an interesting kit in preventing against actual mages right now, which is really nice because that's something that's very, very strong. I can see definitely a lot of cases where Angela will be generally really good, but we'll have to wait and see the results before we get there. So thanks so much for watching. We'll have more updates in the near future.